The Tiananmen Square massacre remains one of the most tragic and censored events in modern Chinese history. In 1989, Beijing's iconic square became the focal point of a massive pro-democracy movement, led primarily by students, intellectuals, and urban workers. The Chinese government's violent crackdown shocked the world, leaving hundreds, possibly thousands, dead and thousands more injured. Background: causes of the protests. Economic and political frustration. China had undergone rapid economic reforms under Deng Xiaoping, leading to inflation, corruption, and growing social inequality. Intellectuals and students called for political reform, transparency, and freedom of speech, frustrated by corruption and lack of accountability. Death of Hu Yaobang. The passing of Hu Yaobang, a former Communist Party leader sympathetic to reform, triggered public mourning in April 1989. His death became a rallying point for students advocating for democracy, anti-corruption, and political openness. The protest scale: tens of thousands of students and supporters gathered in Tiananmen Square, with protests spreading to cities across China. Demands: protesters called for greater political freedom, freedom of the press, anti-corruption measures, accountability from the Communist Party. Occupation: demonstrators organized sit-ins, hunger strikes, and marches, peacefully occupying the square for weeks. Iconic symbols. The Goddess of Democracy statue, erected by students, became an enduring symbol of resistance. Government response. Martial law. In May 1989, the government declared martial law, bringing in the People's Liberation Army (PLA) to suppress the protests. Escalation. Tensions rose as students refused to disperse. Negotiations stalled, and the leadership viewed the movement as a threat to Communist Party rule. The massacre, June 3 to 4, 1989. Military crackdown. In the early hours of June 4, the PLA advanced into Beijing using tanks, armored personnel carriers, and live ammunition. Casualties. Exact numbers remain disputed due to government censorship. Estimates range from hundreds to possibly thousands killed, with thousands more wounded. Methods. Soldiers fired on unarmed demonstrators and bystanders, while armored vehicles crushed barricades and tents. Streets surrounding the square were scenes of chaos and bloodshed. Iconic images and global reaction. Tank Man. One of the most famous photographs shows a lone man standing in front of a line of tanks, symbolizing individual courage against oppression. International condemnation. Western nations criticized China's use of military force against civilians, imposing sanctions and suspending some diplomatic ties. Aftermath. Government crackdown. Arrests, imprisonment, and forced exile followed. Many student leaders fled abroad or were silenced. Censorship. Within China, discussion of the massacre remains heavily censored, and public remembrance is suppressed. Economic reforms continue. Despite political repression, China continued market-oriented economic reforms, focusing on development while limiting political freedoms. Legacy. Symbol of resistance. The massacre remains a powerful symbol for human rights and democratic movements worldwide. Censorship and memory. Within China, the event is erased from textbooks and media, yet it lives on in global memory. Impact on Chinese politics. The crackdown solidified authoritarian control, demonstrating the government's willingness to prioritize stability over political reform. The Tiananmen Square massacre was a tragic culmination of a peaceful pro-democracy movement crushed by military force. It remains a reminder of the human cost of authoritarian repression and the enduring struggle for freedom, accountability, and human rights. While censored in China, the courage of the protesters continues to inspire advocates for democracy around the world.